didn't get no thumbs up, but I think I heard it, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume that we did it. Um,
She's rude. She's so rude.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Social Unavailable Podcast. Thank you for tuning in and joining me. Today I'm joined by my amazing sister-in-law, Kai Shipman. You want to say hi?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. What's up, Kai? What you on the show for?
Just to hang out, Kiki.
Kiki.
Yes.
Kikiing. We're Kikiing.
Just
You
a
want
good
to
Kiki.
tell us a little bit about yourself to the listeners?
Yes. So my name is Kaya. I am a artist, creative director, and currently going to school for CMF design, which is color, materials, and finishes.
What was it? There was abbreviation?
Yeah, CMF.
CMF. I heard that. Wow. That sounds big.
It's not. Trust me.
No?
It's just like a fancy word for like people who basically do like art direction.
Oh, okay. So I'm guessing you want to talk about some art.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. That's cool. So like I said, my sister-in-law, because I'm married to Christy Shipman, Davila. Shout out to Christy. Shout out to Christy. All right, she's texting, but shout out to Christy. Really appreciate you. It's okay, but shout out to Christy. It is finals. Sorry, I forgot. But thank you for joining me.
Yes.
Thank you for being on here. We talk about a little bit of your art, what you got going on, but we jump right into the questions. Hold on, I gotta fix it a little bit. But which art style / form do people initially identify you with? Like,
So I would say painting for sure.
okay,
I've just been painting for a while now.
Mm.
And I think like that's just what I started and have done for so long.
painting.
Yeah.
When did that start out?
In high school, junior year, I really was like one day I just wanted to recreate something. And that kind of sparked it, and my first painting was really bad. Yeah.
You said recreate something.
Yeah.
What was it? What was the piece that you wanted to recreate?
It wasn't even like I wanted just specifically to recreate this,
Mhm.
but the idea of allowing me to recreate this. But essentially, it was like Howl's Moving Castle. So one of our friends was painting the castle at the time,
Okay.
and I had saw it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Just because it looked so realistic.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, the fact that somebody could actually recreate this, and I was like obsessed with the movie at the time. And it just really like struck a chord, and I was like, if she could do that, like, why can't I? And I couldn't at first. I couldn't. I don't even think I still can. Like, but it did lead me down to my own art path and whatnot.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's what's up. So you said art, painting is the main one.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other ones that you do or you enjoy doing?
Yes. So I do like doing sculptures more now.
Okay.
And I'm not. I think my whole art style and like process just takes long across the board. But I do really enjoy like creating something more than just 2D. I really like the 3D aspect of it, and like I do a lot with like I guess almost like paper mache, almost you could call it right now.
Okay.
So it is a little bit, and not to downplay it, but elementary for sculpture. But I think it's like a good starting point for me to like understand just basic form of how to like manipulate things.
So what's like your favorite one, and which one do you enjoy doing more? Would it be the sculptures?
Yeah, even though like there's a learning, I think right now it's sculptures.
Okay.
Only because I enjoy like pushing myself further as an artist. And I enjoy like having like these extra pieces that are like obviously totally different from what I do just normally, and it feels like a good breakup in between like me doing paintings all day long, because sometimes to me it feels like
Competitive?
yeah.
Okay. Like, you go to a more of like a what? I know the word for writing is writer's block. Is there like a term for like painting?
I would just say like it's like a general creative block probably.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe that.
Do you what is that what made you like maybe push you or got you more into got you more into sculpture? Like, were you having blocks, or you just wanted to do something different?
I think it was a little bit of that. But also at the time I was finishing a series,
Hmm.
and I know like I wanted to do 6 paintings. I've always wanted to do like a certain number in a series and like
Yeah.
have it be that. But I wanted to do like a 7. Like I wanted to start doing like 7 became like a number I became like fixated with. Like I
Yeah.
don't know why, I just really liked it. Um, and the 7th thing though, I wanted to make it like special. Like I didn't
Mm.
want to just do like a 7th painting, and at the time like I was already like exploring different mediums,
Yeah.
so it just felt appropriate for me to do like this giant sculpture to be like the 7th.
Okay. So, you want to explain exactly what you mean by like the set, like 7, 6, like the amount of painting? Is it like it's a journey through a painting to get to the
Yeah.
end?
So no, it's more of like in a specific like I like to categorize my paintings now in like either like a season, almost like a TV show.
Mm. Okay. Oh, that's
So
cool.
yeah. So I'll do so at first like in my first round it was the 6.
Yeah.
And at the time I just like liked the number 6. It was like even, it just felt like, cohesive.
Yeah.
But I started getting, and this is like something else, but like at the time I think I was like obsessed with the idea of like 7 deadly sins, and
Okay.
like just the number of 7 like
Mm.
repeated like spiritually and like in the Bible and whatnot.
Mm.
So like that was kind of like the idea of the 7, but essentially it is just like 7 different paintings or now a sculpture that tells one story.
Mm.
And they all kind of like blend together in theme.
Into one. That's
Yeah.
that's really cool. And you actually did release the what was it? The War Outside recently,
Yes.
which is really cool. You gotta follow it on Instagram. Go look at that one. And actually, talking about the sculpture one, the one I really enjoyed, that the one you made, was the I forgot the title. I was just looking at it, but the with the explosion.
Yeah.
That one is like absolutely insane. I'll see if I can get a picture. I'll put it right here so you guys can see it. But that one is amazing. Amazing. I want to know the kind of creative process of that one, because that one was really really cool to see.
Thank you, thank you. That one, well, one it's called like "If I Died Today, What Good Would It Do?" And at the time I was doing creation, so that
Okay.
was the name of like the season.
Mm.
So it was called creation, and it was just about me like one having a conversation with myself about like ideas of creation and what that looked like for me,
Hmm.
and then stylistically wise, I was like forcing myself to do all these different things creatively. So
Mm.
that was like my first go at a sculpture.
Oh, okay.
So that one, when I got to the end, it almost was like, okay, this is my first sculpture. I know I'm in creation mode, like, but what am I going to say? Because my
Mm.
whole thing is always like, what am I supposed to say? I'm
Mhm.
tired of just like painting things that are cute or like appealing and nice for the home.
Yeah.
And more of like, what am I saying? What does this mean? Like, even if somebody doesn't completely understand on the first like glance or whatever,
Mhm.
like I still want them to at least hear or read about the meeting and be like, oh shit, or like, like I get that.
Yeah.
So with that, like, and you know this, and I don't mind sharing with the viewers, but like, I struggle with mental health.
Mm.
And like that in itself always been like very like ups and downs.
Mhm.
So when I got to creation and I was thinking about these themes of creation, that was one thing that has always been hard for me. Like, because when I'm not in a good space, like I've always tried to force myself to paint, and like it helps.
Really?
Yeah. Just because like it'll distract me or it'll take me out, and like it's always been something that like even my parents would be like, if you're sad, maybe you should just go paint or do something you like to do.
Yeah. Create something.
Yeah, just so you could like put it there. So it's always been like super helpful. So that's like one thing I wanted to talk about in
Mhm.
that. So that's more so what that is, and even like the shape of it is supposed to feel like everything coming out of my head.
Yeah.
And then like with the pieces, like I made a money gun.
Yeah.
Just because I always joke like I hate feeling like I sell my like art in
Yeah.
this like soul selling way, and I'm
Uh-huh.
very much like anti against it. Yeah.
It's a very like crazy strong piece. I definitely will put it here, and I'll put your link down below so you can go look at it. Please go look at it. It's a really, really good piece. And for it to be your first sculpture piece, that's actually really, really amazing.
I will say this on the record, just because I did have help from like one of my friends who helped me with like the structure, because
Okay.
he worked at the time. His name is Chris Pisana. He worked at the
Shout out.
time. Yeah, shout out to Chris. um, at a gallery, or like I think he was working at a gallery and then worked for like Red Bull's art program in Detroit.
Okay.
So he understood like the overall gist of doing like big hangs, big just like construction artistically wise. So when I told him, he kind of was like, "Hi, what the fuck?" And then like I got all the materials, and I was like, I showed him like a very ugly shape, and he kind of just like really was like, "Okay, fuck it, like I'll help you." So thanks, Chris.
And it came out amazing. It came out really, really good. I know you mentioned, obviously, yes, like you said, I know about it, but you mentioned the mental health, and you said you would go and create. Would you like when you start creating? Would you put what you're feeling on the thingy, or you would just think of something positive and start doing that way?
It depends.
Okay.
So sometimes there are pieces that are very just like, oh, I gotta get this one off.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then there's other ones, like I said, who are specifically for this storytelling, who is specifically for the season, regardless of my emotions.
Okay.
But most of the time, luckily, and I think this is just like perfect alignment in God. But like, whatever, like I could plan for a season 6 months ago and finally get to the fourth painting and still have it be like this emotionally fucking wrenching piece, and it'll still make sense.
Yeah.
Even with
wow.
like
Okay.
me, like just being in that moment 6 months from now,
Mm-hmm.
it'll still be just because, you know, like I think of very like broad, I guess like topics. So that way it could cover like a very wide range of different like approaches, different appeals. So they kind of do work out.
Oh, okay. Oh, got you. That's interesting. How you like going through something like that, and you just put on a piece of canvas. That's
and it
cool.
helps. Yeah, it definitely helps, especially when I'm like, I can't get it out anywhere else. Like it definitely does help.
That's good. Now, going back to going to like starting your art and everything, because I'm kind of curious to where the name came from, Kai the Alchemist.
Yes, that's the full one. I change it every like 6 months though. Like it gets really bad, yeah. But I think I'm starting to really like settle down.
Okay.
Like, on
The Alchemist?
no,
not that
Kai.
one. Just Kai.
Yeah, just Kai.
Okay.
Because like I had recently changed it. Like, well, I've always shortened it. Like the long part is Kai the Alchemist, just because like I think that's a better description of what I do than me just saying like I'm a painter, or like I could say I'm an artist. It's not that bad, but like I like doing like everything.
Okay.
So it's like
Yeah.
I don't ever want that page or like that brand of me
Mhm.
to ever just be so one-sided, just because I already ripped a brand out and I don't feel like keep ripping more brands, honestly. So that's just also me being lazy and saying like, yeah, that is the name for that.
Stick to one thing.
It's just like a very general name that could fit like everything I do ever in life.
Yeah.
Like,
which is true. Which, mind you, I had to look it up because I saw the word and I'm like, alchemist. What the hell is the alchemist? So I looked it up, and it's just pretty much someone who creates something, which I think is pretty perfect on brand. What you do, like you said. So, and it's broad. It can be anything. You create a lot.
Yeah, and I will admit, like with the name too, like the spelling of it, you know, like my family calls me Kai, like people call me Kai, you call me Kai, but like this H was like where it was like different, and it's like I wanted to still be Kai, like I wanted the nickname because I loved it, but looking at it with the KY was like pissing me off. It just felt very incomplete, because like, you know, my full name is Kaya, so it's the 3 letters. So just having the 2 was like,
you need more. You need something.
yeah, I'm like, it's just not giving. It's still giving like this is a nickname.
Okay.
And not like my art name.
Yeah. So you just add the H in there.
Yes, and
Unique.
also I was watching a Cause interview, and they asked him a similar question, and they said like, how did you come up with your name? And he essentially said like, I wanted something that one didn't make sense before.
Mm.
And he was like, but still, when like said or when you look at it, it looks like a word. And I loved that. So when like he did that, I was like, what's a letter I could throw in that kind of made sense, but like not really, and that was it. Yeah,
it worked out though.
So the H is silent. It's just very
just
silent.
for show. Just for show.
It's just there, just to be the third. You guys could say it, Kai. I promise.
So then the segue into that, because we have rappers and stuff who use stage names. Do like musical stage names hold up the same kind of like hype or like the same thing for artists? Like, is that what main artists go by? Is their stage name?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I definitely think that like a lot of artists, just because like even Cos, like I think of that all the time. Like I don't know that man's actual name. Like I probably should. I probably should maybe if I ever want to work with him. But like I don't. Like and that's just like his name. Or like I'm trying to think of like other artists I know, like Sutril. I don't know if you guys like if you ever heard of her, but she's like an artist. And like I think like everybody just knows her as like Sutril.
Oh really?
Like yeah. Everyone that like even just creatively that I talk to, and I think also Instagram like does change people's perception of you too. So whatever you put as like your Instagram name now almost feels like a stage name.
Yeah.
So I do think it still has like the same importance for sure.
Okay. That's cool though. I like it's funny because when we were getting question stuff together, I came across that one. I was like, that's kind of interesting. It's because if you hear like Lil Uzi, you're like, oh yeah, Lil Uzi. Now if you hear Kai, you're like, oh yeah, Kai.
Yeah, it's just like definitely a stage name.
Okay, cool.
I know mine is not super disconnected from who I am, but like it's okay.
But it's still unique.
It's a little different. Yeah.
It works for you. That's the important part. Yeah. Now I did just get a message from my manager to make sure disclaim that we're both older than 21.
We are.
We're both older than 21, and we do not condone underage drinking and drink responsibly. So YouTube won't take down this video. Thank you. That was perfect. Appreciate that. Thank you, Christy, for doing that one because that definitely slipped my mind. But so what are the most challenging things you came across with this art and creating process?
I'm just slow. Moral of the story is like I move so fucking slow. Like I creatively and even right now I struggle with school because of the reason I move so slow. Like I tell my teachers all the time, like half the time it's me like having this like very like big wall of like fear to get over, and that is a part of like why I move so slow, because I'll have this thing like, oh, I don't want to do it just because like I'm scared of how it's gonna come out. Like I'm more so afraid of it coming out bad than me actually doing the work. Okay. If that makes sense. So that's kind of why like I'll take this is not funny, but like I'll take 3 months of just sitting and like staring and like very bad sketching on the paper and erasing, and then finally one day I'm like, man, fuck it. I'm like, you waited too long. Yeah,
let's do it.
You have to let it go.
Okay.
And then once I let go, I'm like, okay.
All the worrying and all the stuff in it.
Yeah, but it's like that for everything. It's like that for like, I could be halfway through a painting and I'm like, okay, you just got to paint the hand. And I'm like, fuck, I got to paint the hand. I'm like, I just don't want to mess up. And I think painting is also something like you can't erase. Like, yes, you could like mess up and like fix it, or like you could try to like color correct and paint over, but that shit's fucking annoying. Like it's so annoying. Like it's just overly complicated. You have to really like base your colors and try to imagine if you go too dark, going light is like you might as well just give up. So
really?
It's just like one of those things that like that's why also I'm always like, don't fuck up, bitch. Like, please just don't go in there and mess this up.
Yeah. Wow. Now you're talking about mess ups. Now do you consider your mess up an actual mess up, or is it just like
yes?
Do you? Okay.
If people, there are some that it's like a good accident, but half the time good accidents aren't when like you're in painting mode. Like they're when you're like freestyling or like purposely like, okay, this is just like a freehand. Like I'm going in with the intention just to like do whatever and kind of just see like new things and like loosen yourself up.
Okay.
But if you're going in to paint a specific style and then like it's not it, it's not fun. Like especially if the rest of your painting is a certain way, or like you know for a fact, like in your head, like no, I want this. It almost feels like if you don't get it, like to me personally, I feel sometimes like I'm settling. Just because like even like when I mess up, I'll wait another month and then redo that spot again. Like
really,
just because like my paintings are, I've always liked this too. I've always liked very matte paintings. So like I've liked it where like it's so like matte, it looks almost like a digital portrait. Or like it looks like it doesn't look painted because it's so like I do 3-4 coats. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's very just like concise. So for me to get it like that and for me to get to a spot, it's almost like you can't be fucking
messing up.
Yeah, you can't be fucking up. And if you fuck up, like, and I can see it. I don't care what anybody else says. I can see it, and I hate that, and it throws me off.
Interesting. Okay, wow. I know sometimes people are like artists and stuff. They just kind of roll with it. They're messed up at something that maybe it's a messed up with somebody else's eyes, but they're like, oh, I'm gonna go somewhere else with this painting. But you're just you like what you want to do. You have an end goal and you're trying to get to that. You don't want.
Yeah, and as you know, the Shipman sisters are a bit crazy.
No.
So not me. we learned today in Christy and this business, but nonetheless, like I'm the same way.
Okay.
With my art, that's why I'm hard on her because I see it in myself and I'm trying to work on it. So like I get how it is to feel like so like not to say obsessive, but just to hold something so tight.
Yeah, and trying to make sure it's
want everything from like start to finish to be so perfect.
Yeah,
and like I struggle with that for sure.
Okay, maybe it just runs in the family.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, William. Yeah.
Shout out Mr. Shipman. It's funny that you were saying that because literally we're trying to put the questions together and everything for this, and Chrissy had her process, we'll call it. She had her process.
Very thorough.
Very thorough. Okay, we read questions, move questions. Yes, we really appreciate it, honey. I'm thankful. Okay, I'm super thankful. Moving on. How do you know when you finish your painting? Like, how do you know like I'm finished? This is done. I love where it's at.
So it depends. If it's an abstract piece, the words. I do my words last. So in my abstract pieces, I put like music lyrics just because like I'm super inspired by music. So like I'll always be listening to something or like have a specific playlist for when I'm like, okay, I know I'm about to end and I want now to like do my lyrics.
Okay.
I'll listen to it and then do my lyrics. And like that's the last for the abstract. For my more like figurative paintings, which are like versions of people, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the white auras. So like that's the last thing for those.
To add to the painting.
Yeah. So that's how I know like, okay, you're done. Don't touch this. Put it away. Because eventually like I'm bad though. Like I could paint and paint and paint and paint and keep painting. And then we'll never stop. So I have to force myself to hit like a stopping point. So I'm like, okay, no, word time. You're done. This is great.
Really?
Word time. Yeah.
You keep adding.
Especially my abstract ones. Like, Aaron also paints.
Yes.
And Aaron's very much like a abstract expressionist. That's what we call him.
Yes.
So Aaron,
shout out Aaron.
Aaron could come and like literally like close his eyes and fucking splatter paint, and it will be like gorgeous. Yeah, gorgeous. And I was always so jealous because I'm not that way. Yeah, like, and he always says that he was like, he'll see my like abstract paintings like halfway through, and he's like, "That's so pretty. Leave it there." And I'm like, "No." I'm like, no. I'm like, it works for you. Like yours looks good. It looks like beautiful. It looks. Mine be looking like something is just missing. Like his feels filling. Mine, I have to keep going, and that's just in me.
Yeah, I was gonna like for you looking at, you're like, I just need that one thing, or I need to add that thing.
Or I'm like, maybe just 3 more colors. But that's just my artistic preference.
Yeah, of course. Everyone has their own process, the one they like. And you like using a lot of colors.
I do.
Yeah? Now you said?
I think I've always did. but
Okay.
let's not lie. Let's not lie. But only just to like prove a point.
Mm.
At first, like I've always wanted to like pick colors that felt untraditionally used together,
Mm-hmm.
and force them. And I was also painting like dark topics, and my mom was like always real scared for me, to be honest. So like I incorporated colors to make it feel lighter, just because like I didn't want it to come off as aggressive, but I knew that some of the stuff I was talking about was heavy and aggressive. So like I took her feedback and like just made sure like, okay, maybe if I do everything in like a bubbly bright ass pink, they won't notice this girl's miserable in the middle of the center, like, you know, but still notice she's miserable and not feel so like heavy. Just because like sometimes like certain colors just feel heavy automatically without you even saying something.
That's true. Definitely do.
Yeah.
I'll put some of the pictures here so you can see them. What she's talking about. You really have to check out her page. It's really good work. Really. Mind question real quick, because you said you're in school. Well, I know you're in school, but like for the listeners, so how do you balance this? How do you balance going to school and?
I don't.
Oh,
I'm stressed and depressed. I'm up 20 hours of the day. It's like actually quite sickening sometimes. And even right now, like I think it's just the masters. Though. I think everybody that I've heard that went to go get a master's, or especially in like design, is always saying like worst years of their lives. Like it's like across the board. Like I won't lie. Like I vividly heard people talk about it before I signed up to get my master's, and I kept thinking to myself like, well, they're not the scholar that I am. And that's kind of like, it was a very humbling experience to understand I'm exactly that type of scholar and literally struggling with the rest of them. So more so like very much
tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right above water.
We're treading.
But we're already halfway through, and Dad really didn't raise no quitter either. So here we go.
There we go.
So here we go.
To the end. See it through. We gotta see it through.
He literally had a conversation with me. He's like, "Well, you're not gonna quit," and I'm like, "I just want to complain. Like, can I just complain?" He's like, "Well, you need to go back to school." I'm like, "I'm literally just taking a breather." I'm like, "Please."
2 seconds.
Yeah, like I didn't call you for this. Like this is not the motivational talk.
Now I know you were talking about the movie that really got you when you were in high school, that really made you think about doing it. Was that like your main inspiration, or did you have something else? That
I
really
literally did not think about art.
Really?
So I've always loved anime, but I've never thought about art, just because like growing up, and I feel like everyone feels like this, but you know, like the sciences are pushed onto you. Like getting a good job isn't an artist. That's not what you do.
Nope.
And growing up from like a lower income family, that's not an option. And not even to say that wasn't an option for me, because my parents were super supportive in everything that I wanted to do. But in terms of like logically thinking everything through, that wasn't for me. Like I was like, I'm lower income. I'm trying to get us no longer lower income.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. So literally like when I always bring up that moment every time, because it was literally that time. Like I just never thought of it as an option. I never even like wanted to do it. Like, yeah, like I liked anime, but I just liked anime for like storytelling enjoyment. Like my dad watched anime. It was like something we bonded over. So it was like,
anime's great.
Yeah, one of those things. And it was good TV.
It was good TV. Great TV. Come on now.
So like literally that's what I'm saying. So when it was just her connecting like this form, I guess, to anime, and her like me already liking this, and as like we were friends, and that's something we connected over, is like mutual love for it, and like we were nerd and geek out. And at the time, anime was not cool, y'all. I remember when it was late. I used to stay up late night with my dad watching it, like on what was it, Cartoon Network? Like literally late night, before we even knew like what funny animation was. Like it was not cool. So I used to. This was like my back closeted thing.
It really was. Yeah,
like everybody was just underground with it.
For real.
So like she was like my safe space. So when she did the painting, it was like a fucking I say it all the time because that's literally what it was. It was just like a switch. Wow. And suddenly like I was like,
let's do this.
Yeah, like
nice. You got a piece of canvas, got some paint, got a brush,
Yeah,
and went to
and
work.
do it. Yeah.
Do you remember your first piece or no?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I do.
What was that piece?
It was like this girl sitting on like. This is not funny because it was so
Uh-oh.
bad looking back at it. But it was like this girl sitting on like an island, but it was a very small island in the
Okay.
middle of an ocean. And it was like a starry night. It was
Wait, was it hung up in your room?
for a very long time.
Oh, okay, I've seen this. Huh?
No, not that one. It was like
the
it's
mural.
a small, not the mural,
But I know what
it
you're
was
talking
a
about.
small painting.
If I'm not mistaken, it's still hung up in the room. I think it's hung up.
It might be. You know, my parents
South
are
Carolina.
crazy. My parents are crazy. But it literally was my first. And I remember looking at it like that. Like, oh my gosh. I was like, that wasn't what she just did. And I was so upset. And I remember being so mad. I was like, I have to get better. That was like all I thought. I was like, if I'm this bad, I just refuse to be this bad. I was like, I'm very competitive. Competitive academically, not sports. But like academically and like skill sets, like I'm super competitive. Like I want to be able to do something, better than everybody else. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm in last place. Like I finished it, and I was like, maybe this isn't for me. I remember even thinking that, but I was more so mad that it came out bad because in my head I saw like this beautiful image, and when I translated it, it was just giving very big learning curve, and I had to keep going.
Wow, and look at you now.
I know. Thank the Lord.
Some great work. I really enjoyed the war outside too. Again, I'll pull it right here so you can see that one. You really have to follow. You really have to follow this because she's really, really good, really good. Now, do you ever had like a real life experience that inspired you or like motivated you to paint something? Or
I think they always do. At first, I wasn't conscious of it.
Okay.
Because I started looking back at like some of my earlier like season paintings, and I would be like, you are kind of showing your ass here. Like I remember what you were going through, and I look at them now, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense why you painted that. That makes sense why you paint that and name that. Like, I feel like they're really big timestamps, and at the time, like, I don't realize it, or I say I won't, and then I look back and I'm like, no, that's exactly what you did.
Oh, okay, so most of them then.
Most of them do.
Are something in your life.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I also think me painting in like big gaps allows for that too, because like it'll be these, like I said, these wide time frames that I'm painting these pieces in. So like I could be going through something this month, and then 6 months from now it's something totally different. So I may be like, going through whatever, or like something like emotionally like hard, and then 6 months later I'm in a great space. It's like the name thing is like I'm a bad bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh girl, you just funny. You're funny. Like, and I say it doesn't, but it does. Like, I look back and I'm like, okay.
And now you you started in high school. You started making your painting. How was it in college? Because I know college can be pretty busy.
I think it was like the same.
Was it?
I think like I just was like learning my process and like still painting, just very slowly.
Okay.
It was all just like very slow. So I think even more like toward in the beginning of college, it was less just because like I started college. Like I was like I had the idea to still paint regardless, but I was like new experience. So I was just like fully ingrained, but like I still painted. Yeah. It was just like also me learning that I'm just a slow painter.
Yeah.
Was also something I learned throughout this, because like I would always like get on myself like, man, I'm not painting, or like da-da-da. And I would like beat myself up for it, when in reality, like,
it's your process. That's it.
I can't even fight it anymore. Like, even right now, it's been a while. Yeah,
but at least you're like you're at the point where you're like, this is my process, and I don't need to beat myself up over it. This is how I paint. Yeah, that's cool though. Now I usually ask this question when people will come on, right? So, being from PA, right? So you kind of grew up in PA, you went to school, high school, then you went to college in DC, and then you moved to Detroit. Now, out of all three, has any of these states or stuff in the states or stuff that you're doing in each one of the states has that has being where you lived inspired you, or like showed you something, or showed you something different, or it was like, oh, that's cool, let me do that.
I think not really like directly inspiring or
Mm-hmm.
like specifically inspiring to my work, more so inspiring to the process or like the journey,
Okay.
like motivations. Like I wouldn't I think PA was just like the introductory. So like it did like me being here, I got like obviously that moment happened here.
Yeah.
So it was like that. Then like DC was more of like my confidence building phase. So like I
Okay.
started making like art friends in DC.
Mm.
And like just getting to know other artists like seriously and actually befriending them and like now like understanding like what it meant to be in the art world and like
Yeah.
I remember I did like my first show in DC.
Oh,
So
first show.
yeah.
We need to hear about that.
But I don't even. So it was a blur, and it was
Really?
like, yeah, it was a blur for sure. I can't even tell you like the name just because it was like something like I applied to. It was like a art and brunch type of vibe. So it was like a shit ton of like artists who were showcasing their work from DC. But like even then, like it still was just like a journey experience.
Okay.
So like there, I ended up like just being alongside of like this artist I was following on Instagram and was like obsessed with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so shitty. You know I don't know anything. All the names are like, fucking gone right now. But like I remember like seeing him there, and even like one of my friends who was also an artist like came to support me.
Yeah.
And we were both like fangirling and like having like the whole nine. So it was like
cool.
DC was more of like confidence building.
Okay.
And like
Sweet.
understanding like what does the artist world or like potentially what would that look like for me. And then Detroit, I just feel like because of the confidence building phase, like I entered Detroit like with like I wasn't playing around.
I'm her.
Yeah, so I was not playing around. I just wanted to be super intentional because like I said, I was already like starting to get into the DC scene, but I wasn't really into the DC scene. Like I got in kind of late. So like I said, I spent like my first couple years at Howard just like being a Howard student, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not.
So like towards the end is when like I finally was like, okay, I want to do art. Let me push myself into this. And then, like I said, so by the time when I was ready to move, I was like, I'm moving. I know I want to do art there. I know I want to network with artists and have, like, more creative friends. So, like, when I got to Detroit, I was just, I'll go. I did not play around.
That's what's up, though. Like, you got there and did what you want to do. And now, I know I'm familiar with it. Chris familiar with it, and some people are familiar with it, that you have, like, or organization, brand, I don't know how you want to put it, but Duffy.
Yes.
When did Duffy come into play, and explain explain what that is?
Duffy started in college. It was something me and a bunch of other Howard students had started at the time. And it started off like just as a general idea. And then towards the end, like one night, me and my friend Billy sat down and we did like a whole game plan. And like it actually became something like super tangible. Like we came up with like goals, basically like the gist of what it would be, and kind of like the center, the heart, like the whole 9 yards. And then it's like, so at first we tried to not call it a nonprofit, but I think after not making money for so long, it's a fucking nonprofit. So one of those things that, now it's a nonprofit because we're not making any profit. But essentially, like, it's just to support creatives. Like, its main goal is to support creatives, and we use, like, the word creatives.
Yeah.
So we don't lock ourselves into anyone specifically because, like, we just want to, in a very broad sense of thing, like, help anybody who is passionate about something. Because creativity could be anything.
It can. Really
like,
can.
scientists are creative in their own sense. So it's like, if you have just something, like, you're super passionate about, and, like, we see you in your bag, like, you're working, you're doing hard, like, we just want to get behind it and, like, support you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what that is.
That's sweet. That's really cool. And that's where that's where you kind of put your work then, and work that into Duffy too, your own personal work, or
I definitely think that, like, that's where, like, outside of my art, anything that I want to do falls into that. Just because, like, I'm super, like, community oriented, and, like, I just naturally want to help.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't really feel like sometimes ways people help are like sustainable or actually
Mm.
effective to others.
Mm-hmm.
So like I just try to figure out ways that like could actually bring some sort of like tangible benefit or tangible outcome, whether that is financially or this is their first show or like, we're paying for
Yeah.
their exhibition or like we're doing something. Just like for
That's
them to
cool.
have like a physical outcome.
That's sweet. Like artists supporting artists,
Yeah,
and now
for sure.
it's not specific to like what to call artists, like painters, nothing. Because if I'm not wrong, Billy is a rapper.
Yes, and that's like not too far off, but like still dramatically in a different lane.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like another one of our friends, Justice, who like helped us start it. She was into fashion,
Mm.
so it was also us trying to understand like how do we collectively work, and
Yeah.
how does that look, and what does that mean, and
Mm.
how do we connect all these dots and make them like this cohesive, I guess, phase.
Mm. You said not far off of like music.
Mhm.
Is music usually incorporated into like painting or your style of art?
Just like in my style of art, yes.
Yeah.
But I do think like I think like rappers and artists are like very much like troubled creatives.
Not trouble.
And not to say that like fashion designers and anybody else isn't, but like I definitely think they're probably like the biggest divas, like
rappers.
Be for real, Jared.
You're not wrong.
And
You're not wrong.
I'm not even saying in a mean way, but like you have to be. If you're a musician, you have to be you have to learn how to like be the center of attention. You have to learn how to be at least okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
And learn even just like being this super like just because rappers now are like super big on social media and
Mm-hmm.
super like public facing.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be with the drama and the dramatics of it all to kind of keep yourself relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think artists in a way do that through their art. They're dramatic.
True.
I'm dramatic. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying? Like we're drama queens. Yeah.
That is true. So wait, then how do you do that? Then how do you incorporate music and stuff into your more? Yeah.
So how do I incorporate? Sorry, Pop's bottle. This is very much who I am.
Come on, we're for it. Thank you.
But how do I incorporate music?
Yeah, into your art style, your process maybe, or whatever the case may be. How do you incorporate it?
Yeah. So like I kind of like briefly said, but I'll get more into it. Like I make playlists, so they'll be specific for what I'm trying to do. Just because like I'm heavily like my music is me. I'm my music. Like I'm dramatic. That's what I'm saying. I'm dramatic. So like I really feel connected musically wise. Like I love instruments. I love certain sounds. Like I've always loved music just because of my dad too.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, like now with my art, I feel like I need music to motivate myself to do a lot of things. So like I'm always playing music when I'm like doing schoolwork or just trying to concentrate.
Yeah.
Because if not, like I can't. Like the idea of just like white noise is like infuriating to me sometimes.
Really?
Like, yeah. Me and Aaron will get into it because he'll joke like our speaker broke recently, and he was like, "Finally," he's like, "Oh, we have to like be quiet." Like what a down, and I'm like crying, and I'm like finding different headphones and like trying to figure it out. But nonetheless, like I make these playlists for my paintings just so I could one be motivated and two be motivated in the right direction. Because if I am already like having this pointed, reason or pointed theme or wherever I'm trying to go in, and I'm not in this space, it's hard for me to do that. So if for one example, one painting I'm stuck on is like, it's this painting and the guy's like, see, this is where it gets dark. The guy's heart is like being ripped out of his chest, like actively.
Okay.
So I have a playlist for that though, because that's hard. Even just that emotion, like.
Sorry about that. My video cut out, so we had to kind of do a jump cut. Now we're here. But back to what I was talking about. Now, if I was like a random person, right, walk into an art gallery or something where your painting is hung up, is there like a specific piece that you do in each work that sticks out to people?
Yeah, I would definitely say my like people or like the style of people that I do. I think they're very like distinctive in like color and shape and like size.
It is.
And they also kind of just like always look the same.
Oh, let me do this again. let me
Think about it.
There we go. There it is. Perfect. Look how nice that looks now. Oh, sorry. All right.
So
what
very
you're saying.
like specific in like shape, style. Like they also kind of like look masculine and feminine at the same time, which is like something people have told me.
Yeah.
And like to me, I'll be like, "Oh, that's a girl," and they're like, "No, that's a man," and I'm like, "Okay, that's a man." Like, that's a man. So it's one of those things, and I think also them being like in this other world, or so to speak, kind of gives them that room to like be like that.
It's funny too that it's funny that you say about your people because they kind of all do like look similar.
And I don't mean to. In my head, I'll be like, they're not related. And I look and I'm like, bro, they're the same person. I'm like, you didn't even make them even feel. There's no fat faces. There's nothing. I suck. But also, I would say their eyes. Like their eyes, most of the time, like are like hollow or like gone because like I paint their soul interpretation in a physical sense, which is kind of like these blobs that like hang around and like swing from things, or they'll be like interacting with them at some point, and it's just supposed to be like this very like childhood version of themselves, almost like the child of you. Yeah. So that's their soul. So their eyes will always be like formless. It'll just be a white space. And then I just like the rings because I feel like if your soul is outside of your body, your eyes would be tired. Like, I just feel like in my head that's how it goes down. So definitely those as well.
It is true though. It's true because I can definitely see your painting and see like they all kind of got similar structures and the blob too. The thing that flies around and what the stuff like that. That is true though. Now my video did cut, but this is what we were shooting for. So if you are wondering what we're talking about right now, if you're listening, you gotta go on YouTube and look. But I'm currently holding one of Kaya's pieces. Wait, what's the name of this one again?
Fuck your feelings, I feel everything.
Fuck your feelings, I feel everything. So if you want to see what we're talking about, please go on YouTube and look at it. But what inspired this piece?
So like this was like my first series that I was talking about. So I wanted to do like folk tales or things that felt dark, but paint in this bright way to like lift them up and like inspire them, and also take these like narratives and put them in like a modern day sense. Okay. So I did like the Headless Horseman, I did Frankenstein, and then this was like Medusa. So half was that, and then half were just like words or like phrases that just felt dark in the same sense. So this was Medusa. So this is just like her being modern day melancholy Medusa, very bad. You know how they say like the prettiest girls be the most insecure? Yeah. It's giving that. Like also like replaying her story too, like the idea that she was the prettiest and then she was turned into something that made her like this hideous monster, but really like she was in a lot of pain because of it. So like how would I interpret this in real life? It's like that. I always think of like I said, the prettiest girls I know are literally the most insecure. So, like, I was literally thinking of, like, her hating her snakes. But her snakes actually being, like, almost, like, these beautiful dreadlock-looking things. Yeah. And her, like, essentially having this, like, emotional turmoil and, like, wanting to cut it off and, like, still hating everybody and, like, saying, like, fuck y'all, like, no, like, one of those.
This shit hurt.
Yeah, like I'm in pain. Man, a lot of pain.
It's a really big piece though. This is a really was this along the line of your first big piece or just?
No, I've always painted big.
Oh really?
Yeah, even like my first one was like I want to say like 18 by 24. Which is like, which is not like a starter pack. But in my head, I wanted to be the best. So, and I was like, the best don't paint on fucking 2 inches. They don't paint. It's feet. No. Yeah, it's big. It's 2 by 3 feet, 2 by 4 feet. I wanted to do big. I've always wanted to do big.
Go big or go home.
So this was like, I think even all of these for the series were huge. And my mom also bought me like, I remember that previous Christmas, she bought like so many like canvases that were like ungodly big. And like she was also down for the cause, so I think when she did it, I had the canvases. It was like, man, just do it.
We're going big. We're
Yeah.
going big.
And I also can't judge my like proportions. So that's also why I went big. I'm like, because when I go bigger, I at least could like play around with my proportions, and I feel like a little bit more secure.
Yeah.
When I'm doing it small, something always looks off. Something is too big. Half the time their heads are always too big, but people got big heads, so I don't care. But if you notice, something's always like, her left arms look big, or like something just looks lopsided a little bit. But this one doesn't look too bad.
No, this one's good. This one's nice. This one, sorry, this thing is beating me right now.
Oh, literally
beating me right now. It's beating me. But this is a pretty big piece. This one hangs up in mine, Chrissy's apartment. It is down right now because we're currently in the process of moving. But beautiful. Nice having this hung up on the wall. It's only going for, what'd she say? $17,000?
Yeah, she did say 17.
That's what the manager said, not us.
Yeah, she's reselling everybody.
So if you want to take it up with somebody, take it up with her. Oh, okay. That was a big piece. It is a big piece. But like I said before, if you want to know what we're talking about, if you're listening, please go on YouTube and follow me. Tune in and watch the episode, and you'll see what we're talking about. It's a really nice piece. I know I asked a couple of these questions. Trying to see what influences does art / events have, social or people in general? What influences does art and events have on society?
I would say more of like provokers, and like definitely provokers. I feel like we love to poke and pick at things, and because it's something that isn't like a physical solution, a lot of artists tend to provoke things that have like no solutions, because that's like our way of like helping, so to say. Like, so if we start like picking at a conversation, or you know, like causing like some sort of emotional response, with the idea that somebody along this emotional response will be like, okay, I understand why this is a problem now. And even if it's not like, it doesn't get fixed today or tomorrow, but at least like somewhere in the line, like people could at least understand like this is something that needs to be worked on or addressed, even if it's interpersonal or something like on a larger scale. So that's something I feel like artists specifically do. Events, I would more say like, I feel like events you could use in so many different ways, but in the way like I go about events, I would definitely say like community building, in like a very like simple form.
Okay. Now we are nearing to the end of this again, but we are nearing to the end of this. So I got a few questions for you. Is there any upcoming events or upcoming your painting coming out? Anything upcoming?
Yes. So me and Aaron are having a house show. So that will happen sometime in May, probably after Aaron's birthday. But we had decided to do this a while back, like a surprise house show. So we're probably just gonna like announce,
Pop up.
Yeah. Announce on a Wednesday and like have it on a Friday.
Okay, cool. Gotta make sure you follow. Gotta make sure you follow so you can attend that and see we talked about it before, but there's gonna be new artwork.
Yes, it's nothing but new. So that's one thing that I really wanted to start doing is like, if I do a show, and I know I'm like pushing Aaron to do the same, I keep telling him like, do not show these pieces, because he already showed one, and I was like, I saw it on Instagram, and I was like, no, take it down. I literally came home, I was like, do not do that again. He was like, are you serious? I'm like, no. I'm like, do not post them no more. That's like the point. Like, we want to be able to say like, this is all new works, and also like it is like attention grabbing, you know. Like I feel like since social media is so like everybody posts everything, you
gotta talk to Christy and talk to my manager a little bit, see if we can work something down there.
But yeah, so definitely all new works.
That's cool. That's exciting. I hope with the new work coming out and just boom, I got my attention for sure. The question I tend to ask everybody before they they leave is one piece of advice for any upcoming artist, singer, or someone who just wants to create something. What's one piece of advice?
I would say don't stop. Just like it's gonna feel like everything. You're gonna experience every possible emotion you could go through. And some days you're just gonna want to stop because you can't see inside like the storm or inside the path. Like you can't really see the end goal. But like everything takes time. You have to put in those 10,000 hours. You have to like put in the work. So just understand that like it's gonna come. You're gonna even reach a point where even if it's not like financially, you're just gonna be able to take a step back and just see your growth.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be enough. So just don't give up.
Don't give up. Keep going. You heard it here from Kai.
From Kai.
From Kai. Thank you so much for being on. It was a pleasure talking to you, learning how you do your process, how you go through your process of creating artwork and learning more about you, and it's really cool. So thank you so much for being on.
No problem.
If you want to give your ads or if anyone wants to reach out to you, maybe if you want to give all those.
Yes, so you could reach out or follow me on Instagram at Kai the _, with that one. And then Duffy is in my Duffy. And feel free to reach out with good ideas, please.
Good ideas.
I suck at commissions, so if it's not good, I'm probably never going to do it. And I'm going to say I am just because I'm a good person and I suck at like saying other people. So please help both of us out.
There you go. Thank you again for being on here. I'll be sure to put her ads in the description. I'll also try to put them on the screen somewhere. I'm still learning to do this YouTube thing, by the way. It's kind of tough, but
don't give
thank
up.
you for listening. I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to. No. But thank you again for everyone for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Continue to support the podcast. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Be sure to follow my all my socials. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, all of it. I'm on all podcast platforms, so be sure to rate the podcast, follow the podcast. It really helps out. We do have merch, so if you're interested in a shirt or a mug or a bottle, boom, boom, boom. Feel free to DM me. We can work it out. Get you get you something. We'll work it out. Get it to you. Thank you again so much for listening. Thank you, Kaya, again for joining me.
Thank you.
Out here. Aaron, by the way, she said sometime in May, so there ain't no avoiding it now. Be sure to follow if you want to be at the exclusive pop-up because it's going to be new art. Wait, real quick about that. Is it going to be displayed or if someone's interested?
They can purchase.
Can they?
But it's going to be displayed in a nice like gallery format.
It's going to be displayed in nice, but if you're interested, okay, just remember this painting right here. You can still kind of see it. 17,000. But that's what the manager said. But thank you again.
Thank you.